We probably don't know about 90% of the species that exist. We look at what we call myofauna, which are small, tiny little organisms. You can't see them with your eyes, but that's where a lot of the diversity of life actually exists, and we know very, very little about them.
I want to look at the roles that those bacteria play in their ecology and their adaptations, especially in the marine sediments we're looking at, which are marine sediments that have been impacted by the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico.
And so what I do is I try to understand what these communities look like, to understand the diversity and understand how this oil is actually impacting them.
The Hubbards were key. Their support for the establishment of the Genome Center was just fundamental. When the Genome Center was established in 2001, I think it was a prophetic move. I think we established early on that investment paid great dividends. Our ability to attract external funding because of the instrumentation and the facility and support that came with the establishment of the Genome Center was just incredible.
Kind of the backup in a lot of the scientific world and genetics and whatnot is actually trying to analyze the data that we generate. So using machines like the Illumina HiSeq here, we generate long strings of things like A, T, C's, and G's, so our genetic code. And so on the computer, I'm actually trying to decipher that and kind of to look for trends and analyzing big data.
One of the really valuable things about an institution like UNH that has this dedication to undergraduate research is that we're supporting faculty research programs at the same time providing training for students that when they leave here, they're ready to step into laboratories for graduate school, for example, or into industry. They're trained in doing things that are not just theoretical and not on decades-old instruments.
So having an entrepreneurship center on campus is almost a must-have for every university at this point. The E-Center opened up in January of 2016. In that very first semester, we had about 1,100 students who interacted in activities here. By the fall semester, that jumped to 3,000. So we really, on a very rapid basis and a startup basis, we started to really have an impact with students overall. Peter Paul was amazingly generous to give us the initial funding to kick this off for 3 years. Everything we do is 100% reliant on funding that comes from alumni, from parents, from friends, from other entrepreneurs. That sort of gives us the opportunity to build.
The E-Center has been one of the best additions to UNH, in my opinion.
You can be an excellent computer scientist and come here with an idea for a business and flourish just like anyone else. You don't need to be in the business school to get value out of this place. You really just need to have a drive and an idea. When I'm sitting in here, it kind of makes me feel like I'm in a real office rather than sitting at my desk in my dorm. The layout of the whole center is just extremely conducive to collaboration.
I actually met my business partners at the E-Center randomly. We were working individually and we kind of just bumped into each other and started chatting.
Max and Sam have an app they're developing called Drop It. They are into the second round and hopefully into the finals for the Holloway Prize. Some of my role is to help them frame their presentation, how do they do their PowerPoint, how do they do their financials. Simultaneously, it's also to continue to work with them to understand how do you start to build this idea into a true company. If we're successful and we start planting these seeds in students now, in 5 or 10 years after graduation, they're going to have that aha idea. And what we want is for them to remember that some of the early seeds that we planted with them, and they're going to be able to come back to us and we're going to be able to help support them. And then when they come back, we have a new group of students who want to learn about startups and this starts to mesh together. So in the big picture, that's the whole vision of what we're trying to build.
New Hampshire has many beautiful freshwater resources. Not all of them are able to be monitored as intensely as they need to be by just state organizations. The Lake Slay Monitoring Program has a large positive impact on the state as a whole. The monitoring that we are able to do with our volunteers and our interns allows us to collect a much finer detail of data. The data that we collect can help inform towns as they're trying to make decisions about how to better protect their water bodies. And it does this through cost-effective, science-based monitoring and research.
Throughout this internship, I've done field research, in which case we collect various water samples based on different profiles that we establish. And then we do lab work with those samples that we collect. I'd say this is a fantastic undergrad opportunity, especially having a paid one is a huge plus. I mean, for me personally, this is my 4th year in the lab, so I have 4 years of summer field work under my belt and then 4 years of lab work under my belt, which looks extremely good on a resume applying for a job or grad school.
We take 100% of the funding we get from our annual appeal and apply it towards student undergraduate internships. So donor support not only helps that undergraduate student apply what they're learning, network with businesses and future employers, but it also provides an opportunity for UNH to do more work that impacts the life and well-being of the residents of New Hampshire.
The Lake Slay Monitoring Program is so important because freshwater resources are precious and we need as informed a public as we can get.